Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is a video about the Aries full moon on October 6th, happening at 11:47 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. These will be the Twin Flame Soulmate Divine Counterpart Collective Lunar Update. Okay, so our full moon, as a quick recap, it's right here in the sign of Aries and is making some super interesting aspects. This one is going to be very important, specifically in our divine masculine energy fields, because Jupiter is the only counterpart aspecting this full moon, and it is a loose aspect, mind you. But in addition to that, I will also say Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. I will also say, oh, sorry, not first sign, first masculine sign of the zodiac. And so this really taps us into the potency of this full moon, speaking very loudly to our divine masculine energetic fields. We also have Chiron and Eris sitting in the place where the counterparts met up back in 2023, infusing that entry point for a union with a lot of junk to work through. And I'm going to speak to some of that in a moment, so stay tuned. But because of these factors, Jupiter speaking to the full moon, it's inside of Aries, there is a cycle completion unfolding in our divine masculine energetic fields. And we're going to get into what that is and how it could look in your connection. But first, I would like to say that there were a few of you that emailed to ask if you could still get into cards and stars. You want to either learn how to read for yourself, your connection, or for others. The deadline was Wednesday night. However, Alice Tarot has offered to share cards and stars with her community, but could really only do it on this Friday's live that she does. So if you want to get in, we've reopened it for her community for this weekend only. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, today, Sunday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can join as we welcome her community into Cards and Stars. We've reopened it for you all as well. So I would love to see you there. If you have felt guided, but you just needed to wait until you got paid this Friday, or you were looking for a sign, this is it. I Both ASO and I are super excited to welcome you into the community. There's a great mix of absolute beginners and those who regularly read for themselves and others. Both the payment plan and pay in full will be available. Link to join is below this video. The community for Astro Lovers Star Club will reopen in late October with a chance to get readings with me. I know you've probably noticed that availability for readings has been quite limited this year. And if you want more regular access at a preferred price point, you definitely want to join Star Club. We'll be able to talk astrology twice monthly as we recap the full and the new moon with the other aspects that are showing up that are so impactful in what's going on worldwide right now. So if that sounds like your jam, where we can dialogue about the lunar update, it's not just listen to the video on them, then stay tuned. I'm going to be clear, it will not be a twin flame group. So if you're hoping to come and all you really want to focus on is your connection, that's not what we'll be doing. We'll be focused on like collective astrology and how the energies work for all of us collectively. So stay tuned for that. I have some exciting offers coming up from partners in the next couple of weeks that you're going to want to take advantage of. Now, this is for twin flames. If you're part of the Divine Counterpart Collective, I have one coming from Made for Love and one from Lee and Sherry from Relationship Reinvented. So stay tuned. I'm excited to share something with you all, as earlier I offered the union workshop. And as you may have noticed, I'm phasing out of this work. So definitely keep your eyes open for resources if you're looking for them for your connection. Both Relationship Reinvented and Made for Love offer some of the best work available to help you evolve yourself and your connection. Lastly, something I've learned from kicking it with ASO is to really enjoy the connection with those of you who listen to these introductions. You all are the real deal. You are my true star family. So, I'm curious about how the eclipse season impacted your connection. This eclipse season was super closure focused. And maybe it didn't impact your connection. Maybe you felt it in more in family or more at work, or maybe you felt it at home with something to do with where you live. But I am curious where you felt this eclipse season. We are now at the first post-eclipse activation point, and you may find that some of the events surrounding this full moon are related to things that either started 28 days ago or are now escalating and picking up steam and starting now. Okay, let me know in the comments. Okay, now let's get into this full moon. Real quick, what this is for the collective, and I spoke about this at length in the Lightworker Energy Update. I implore you to watch that first. Come back here as this operates and functions as a part two to that. This full moon at the 14th degree of Aries operates as a opportunity to see yourself, a self-reflection point, and where you want to grow and end certain behaviors, certain uh, actions that no longer serve yourself or the connection. We see in opposition to the shaman's asteroid here. And this is really presenting lessons to us in ways we may have shown up in partnership that no longer serve. So it is a really good time to ask yourself, because there's two people on your dance floor, where am I not fully showing up for this? If I say that I want it, where am I still opting out? Where can I opt in places where I'm putting responsibility on them or running or shutting down? Okay. So, really deep work here. This full moon also operates as a checkpoint. Like, how are you doing in your pathway to union between now and 2028? Just so you all know, like, I'm pro union. I think everyone can have it. I think a lot of people opt out of the pathway. Like, I just do not believe, let me put that a different way. I do believe that God and the divine loves us enough to honor and respect our sovereignty when it comes to our choice for union once we get in the body. Is the original divine plan getting into union? Absolutely. Was that why you and your person, a big piece of why you came? 100%. Was that the thing that you signed up for? Yes. Was it in the soul contract? Also, yes. If you had any idea what it took to orchestrate from a mathematical point of view your exact birth date and birth time and location and the set of parents you had to incarnate to for you to be in the right place at the right time during the right season of your life to meet your counterpart when you did under the aspects and influences you met them under. If you had any idea what that took, like, it's not even fathomable in terms of ordinary human consciousness to put that level of mathematical miracle together. So, was it, if you want to call it destined, was it destined? Yes. Soul contract? Yes. Can people rewrite their soul contract, incarnate? Also, yes. You have the trump card. And so, if this is not something you want, union, you get to choose not to have it. If union is something you want, you get to choose to have it, and you have it in you to bring it together. So I want to be clear, like, I'm very pro union. I'm also pro freedom of choice around it, right? Once we all get into a body, like, you didn't expect the trauma you ran into or how it would impact you. Neither did your counterpart, right? The human body vehicle and its firing and wiring, it's a it's a fickle thing. It's a fickle thing. It performs when you give it the right inputs, but as some of you know, some of our inputs could have been more awesome when it comes to things we encountered that changed our firing and wiring. And that can absolutely change what the quote unquote plan was. So, all of that to say, this is one of the checkpoints between the last union window, which opened up in 2023, and the next one, major union window, where we get to ask ourselves, how are we doing on your pathway to union? Well, the next major union window opens November of 2028. What you're going to see at this full moon and in all of 2025, really, because it is the midway year, is what you need to see in order to make necessary course corrections if union is something that you've been wanting in your life. Now, this work is in Aries. It is self-related work when I talk about the corrections. When the counterparts come together, as they did in January of 2023, they came together in the sign of Aries. They come together in different signs every time. But that marks the doorway, the access point, the way you get into union between the now and the next union window. So here they are in Aries, uh, Jupiter and Juno. They don't come together again until 2028 November. Okay. And we see that the closest planetary energy to them, interestingly enough, we see the Shaman's asteroid by opposition again. So we have that communication that's also taking place at this full moon. And then we also see Chiron. So this is a healing journey about the self where we're learning lessons about partnership and closing out patterns and cycles, their series, in the way we show up for partnership. Okay. Hopefully, I made that explanation succinct but also clear in a way that helps you understand why I keep talking about Aries. The traditional advice we all collectively receive about, quote, focus on yourself when it comes to your connection is actually for this particular passage between 2023 and 2028 correct. As we get closer to 2028, it will fall out of fashion. It will no longer be appropriate because the counterparts will be meeting up in the sign of Libra, which is partnership, and that will be about focusing on the connection. But for right now, if you are like, you can get into union anytime between now and 2028. The access point, the doorway, the threshold you have to cross through is Aries behaviors, Aries energy. Was that self ambition, self growth, self directed mastery, individualized focused, individualized actions. Okay. So here we are at this checkpoint to union, um, middle year, full moon in Aries, helping us understand, like, okay, where do we want to be? And so, because this particular one is conjunct Ceres, we also see Ceres is the harvest. She represents a season of closure. She's also one of the mothers. The moon is the main mother of the zodiac. There is some sort of closure having to do with a mom or a mother here. And so we can see some ruptures, some distance, some separation. Some of you may need this in order to focus fully on yourself and be in the right place for union down the road. So if there is some sort of that going on, understand it is needed. It is indeed a part of the process to union in its extreme form of the process. But for the rest, some of you are already in union. And so what you'll see is just a super maturing at this full moon of like self-awareness and like I've been showing up this way in the connection and this is not serving us, and I also see the way it's hurting you. Let me take some time to correct this. I want to grow here. I want to be a better person here. So this is how it could show up for those of you that are in some format of union. Okay. Now, it's a period of shaking out patterns disruptive to union. So, through personal closures and reconstruction. Now, if you've chosen the path to union, what needs to happen for it to occur is what's happening. And you can trust that no matter how it looks. And for those of you who have not chosen it, this is one of those passageways, these eclipses, where you'll find that your interior world has shifted to such a degree that your heart no longer is connected in the same way that it was. The way that this has been shown to me in channeled messages and clairvoyance is like an unzipping, where people will, who maybe chose, like, yeah, let's do it this lifetime for whatever reason. And your reasons are your reasons. I respect and honor your sovereignty in them. So does the divine. Um, there's like this unzipping of the connection where the two things no longer are stuck together, and you may feel that. If you feel that, it comes with a sense of lightness and freedom and release, as opposed to grief and sadness and joy. It's over, or like sadness that it's over. If you are in grief and sadness and, all sort of forclamped, your connection is still on. You two are, you're just tuned into separation despite wanting union. If you are feeling like, whoo, oh, wow, like waking up from a dream, like, oh, wow, that trip was wild, but it's done. So much appreciation. I release it in so much love and respect for who I've become and who they are. If you're feeling that, okay, yeah, unzipping happening. Okay, so that's one of the ways you'll know. Okay. Um, all of that to say, if that's been the case here, you'll find that this eclipse season is bringing the chance to start anew with yourself, with what you've learned and the spiritual upgrades you've attained through your initiation to your divinity in love. Okay. And that's really for those of you who are leaving twin flame divine counterpart soulmate pathway. If that's what's happening here, give yourself some time to find your footing. Those of you who are still locked in, give yourself some space to really be with the fact that this is a new chapter you're stepping into. A lot of old behaviors, both for you and for them, falling away. That may not require you to sit right up under each other while those fall away. It may require both of you to operate personal journeys right now. Okay. Now, again, the timeline you're on is really up to you. I don't. Like I said, I believe that was union was always the plan. I also believe you have the right, the sovereignty, and the spiritual authority to change the plan once you're incarnate. Either way, a timeline is over, and whether you throw the whole connection out, that's going to be up to you. I've seen divine counterparts give up and choose to live, and I love them, but it will never work out life. Um, and they'd rather live in regret, missing, longing, and sorrow than face the vulnerability it takes to show up and disarmor with another human. That's just, where some people are at. I've also seen other divine counterparts hang in there with people who are not their counterpart because it's safe. It feels really good. It feels really aligned. They're a fine person. Why would I hurt a good person's feelings for love? I've also seen divine counterparts change and evolve and be drawn together cycle after cycle, releasing more and more of their armor that protects them from the vulnerability of love as they go. Like I said, you'll know if it's over if your heart's done, although I appreciate that your personal experience of that is going to be personal. You'll know it's just time to do the harder work of everything that you've avoided in the last cycle if your heart's still in it, which is likely you if you're still here listening to my voice with this update. Just saying. Those who are over it tend to leave the conversation in totality. Now that I've given you the big picture about the 2025 time frame, this full moon as it pertains to us as a collective, let's get into some specifics. Here's Juno. She's at the first degree of Sagittarius. She is our divine feminine energy. She's in the sign of truth. And if you run high divine feminine energy or being called into more of it, you'll feel this as a pull to truth, faith, hope, optimism, and in some cases, higher education and travel. Regarding your connection, our divine feminine field has made some truth known to us and it's going to be different things for different people. For some of you, it'll be revelation about, like I've said, the way you're showing up in the connection. Could be revelation about the way your partner's showing up in the connection. Could be revelation about, in order for the connection to go any further, you need to go over here and learn this. Until then, it's at a ceiling, a stop, a stop. It cannot go any further. Some of the things that you may have learned may have also been things that have to do with Scorpio, as she was retrograde in Scorpio this year, and this is her first time out of it, I think, since March. So, scorpionic things include death, sex, taxes, loans, credit. We also are talking about your reproductive health. So many of you, according to my analytics, are stepping into your wisdom years. Changes health wise regarding that would be something that would show up as she steps into the sign of truth. We also see changes facilitated by closures, completions, and endings, things that must end in order for a new thing, a new chapter with your counterpart to begin. That sort of revelation is upon us as Juno steps into the sign of truth, faith, hope, and optimism. Okay. You're going to, whatever it is you need to know about your connection, where you're at and where the connection is at, you're going to know it now as Juno leaves the retrograde zone. If there was any deception in your connection, challenges with reproductive health, issues with those areas I can call, we as astrologers call other people's money, power struggles, all of those are scorpionic themes. This is going to bring clarity and truth to the problem so that the connection can be brought into wholeness. Okay. We also see that she is opposite Uranus, who's the original divine counterpart. He was the divine counterpart of Gaia. Whatever comes up does seem to show itself as could be a surprise. Could be not so much of a surprise, given that before Juno started her retrograde in the retrograde zone, she was at that same degree. So it's like stuff you knew, but it's like, oh, we're dealing with this now. We're doing this now. Okay, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Like a suddenly we're dealing with it. It looks like something that could be out of left field, unexpected, and for some has the potential to just be communication, given that Mercury is also semi-sextile Juno from behind her, 30 degrees before her. It's like you had no idea it was coming, and yet, oh, here it is. Now, let me be clear, if communication is something you got, the communications do not look surprising. It's that you got communication that looks surprising. And I want to make that distinction because, to be completely honest, unless both people have grown a lot, Mercury's opposition with Chiron and Eris, it can have communication you exchange with another person at this time be a little disappointing, as both may still be coming from a deeply wounded place. This full moon is doing a work on helping us resolve a lot of wounding. And so there could be a lot of looking for the other person to heal me, looking for the other person to make up for it, looking for the other person to pay for all the damages and sins of women in the past, this sort of energy. Um, and so, yeah, tread lightly. Um, tread lightly because there's better opportunities for communication as we get into later October, all of November, and in December, like significantly better. This is a nice opportunity to just check in and do a lot of listening and release a lot of expecting. Okay, cool. I feel like I did a good job making that clear. Hopefully so. But like I said, you could also see some surprising behaviors in the divine feminine energy fields, like things you just didn't see coming. Like, whoa, I didn't know that I would feel this way, want this, do that. But it just feels aligned, but it's out of left field. Shocks, surprises of that nature for ourselves and coming from other people. We also see Juno sextile Pluto at this time, and this is a lot of empowerment for Juno, super empowerment. Like for those who run divine feminine energy, this is where you may be feeling like, I don't know, pick a superstar, Kim Kardashian, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish. Like, you're just the hot stuff and you know it. Okay, for me, real talk, that's Rihanna. She's my girl. Like, if you ever just watch her in interviews and watch her, like, just walk down the street when people have something to say to her and the way she talks back to them, she's kind, but she's also like cool, calm, collected, and knows she's the S. And I am so here for that vibe. Like, don't, like, nothing ruffles Rihanna. And I just love that about her. She's, yeah. So this energy, this Juno sextile Pluto, it, like, I love you, Reed, but I think you're a better businesswoman and mama than singer. I don't admire her voice, but as much as I admire her as a whole and complete woman. And so this is that energy where she can own her sexual self, her intelligence, her savviness, her personality, and is unapologetic about any and all of it. Like she's all the things and owns it. And if you run high divine feminine energy, you may be feeling like this as you come into this full moon. And if that's you, you know what? Rock it. Live in it, milk it. It's a beautiful energy. Now, alternatively, we can be moving into, in our divine feminine energy fields, new communities, new groups having to do with learning, education, travel, aspirations, and humanitarian work. This is going to be a fabulous time to connect with people in a powerful way when you may solidify powerful partnerships and alliances that project you forward and protect you in your divine feminine leadership at this time. So, if you are that sort of person who, maybe Rihanna's not your jam, maybe it's more, I don't know, Greta Thunberg. You're going to see this energy show itself for you in your field at this time where it's like, my power comes in numbers, and that you present divine feminine leader of the pack energy. Okay, so I love to see that. Really good stuff. And if you were born with Juno sextile Pluto, let me know how that's going for you, because it just that just seems like such a lovely way to be born. Like so empowering. I'm sure it makes a lot of people jealous, but who cares about the haters? Give them something to hate. Now we see a trine from Juno to Saturn, Neptune, and Aries in Pisces. Give them something to look forward to. Give them something to enjoy. Here's Juno. Give them something to aspire to. Come on. Here's Juno speaking to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Okay, let me get off that because I love that energy. I just need to focus on the rest of this chart. Now, this is where there is a no BS energy in the divine feminine energy fields. And you, again, if you run super high DF energy, where like you never relate to anything I say about divine masculine energy, you're going to find that this applies to you. This is a be for real or be out my face energy. Not that you won't have patience but you won't have interest in things that can't solidify, can't ground, can't grow, can't be steady, can't be stable or consistent with Juno speaking to Saturn and Neptune in this way. There is a possibility for some hyper spiritualization or other form of spiritual bypass, um, to not have to deal with grounded, specific connection in the third dimension. There's some possibility that a hyper spiritualization can go on to avoid needing to deal with the third dimension and its demands, but that's unlikely in how I'm seeing this energy and Saturn's role here and Juno's very third dimensional role. It's less spiritual bypassy and more take serious actiony, if I can say it that way. So I like to see it. Like I said, and we all have both energies. And so if you've been looking for a counterpart to be for real, you could find that they're real for real in this moment, in this energy. Things can really solidify here. So I love to see it. This is great stuff. We do see a loose trine to Jupiter in Cancer from Juno here. And we are now coming into the conclusion of the mini union window that was open for the last 90 days as we hit mid-October. I know many of you felt the pull and you spoke to me about it in private one-on-one sessions, like how do I navigate this or how do I use my faith to stay empowered in this period since union is my choice. I've loved hearing your stories of reconnection, communication, deepening, turnarounds. And if you know that that's something you want to, know that you haven't missed out. These windows open and close, mini union windows, all the time. And for some people, their personal process is one that works best when there's less planetary pressure. Like I said, people are going to come into union all throughout 2023 and 2028. You didn't miss anything. You're just in your personal process. Union windows are when the pull is loud, strong, and full of pressure for both people. Okay. This close, okay, I covered that. I don't have to expand on that. Keep going, Kate. Keep going. We also see Juno in trine to Ceres here as well. In trine to Ceres, there is some level of closure in our divine feminine fields regarding who she was and how she used to show up in the connection. And so many of you who operate in high divine feminine energy may be getting a real self check at this full moon around, you know what? I have been running from this connection in ways that I didn't think were running. I thought I was just, quote, focusing on myself, but now I need to stop that behavior. Or you may find, you know what? I have been so open, so available, so present for this connection in the third dimension in ways that has actually enabled my partner to not grow and kept our connection stagnant. I need to stop that behavior. It's going to be different for different people, right? Or I've been so involved with being a mom. Now my kids are graduated. It's time for me to focus on the connection. Or I've been so involved with, fill in the blank, right? My mission. And now it's time for me to focus on the connection. Or I've been so focused on the connection. Now it's time for me to focus on mission now that she's in the sign of Sagittarius, which does represent sort of mission work. So, whatever that shift is, that closure of like behaviors and actions, you're going to feel it at this full moon and know that it's time to shift. Okay. Now, if you heard something that resonates for you and your connection, I'm going to ask you to subscribe if you're new, like it if you are familiar. Please like the video, it helps. Alternatively, um, if you know somebody whom this is going to resonate for, I encourage you to share it with them. Let's talk about the divine masculine energy. That's Jupiter. Jupiter in Cancer at the 23rd degree. So, Jupiter in Cancer is a very emotionally expansive experience. And so, for our divine masculine energy fields, we will continue to see emotional expansion. And this has been going on since July, when Jupiter stepped into Cancer. The June, some of you felt it in June, the June July period, as Jupiter began getting super close. We get a small break, November 11th through March 11th, as Jupiter goes retrograde, where we may not feel as much intensity. You may even feel like in your connection, like, oh no, backsliding is happening. It's not, it's just integration. And for others, they'll go even deeper than they've gone at certain lunations in that cycle, leading up to March or leading up to November 11th. They'll go even deeper emotionally once Jupiter goes retrograde at different full moons because of the way the full moons will or Jupiter will aspect the full moon. So stay tuned. We'll cover specifics as we move lunation to lunation. But this one is a big one for our divine masculine energies, especially those who hold the identity of father, elder masculine, or new masculine consciousness. You'll find this retrograde is an important one for releasing old emotional material that holds you back from being all of who you've been called to be and anchoring new masculine consciousness on the earth, which I've talked to you guys about that in channeled messages before, that there's a lot of that unfolding now. We see Jupiter sextile Uranus, and that's where that new masculine consciousness is indeed coming in. It is highlighted that it's coming in from divine masculine energy and divine masculine leadership. We also see Jupiter in opposition to Pluto, which is going to be exceptionally empowering, massive levels of personal empowerment. You can feel inspired to push through barriers where you may have stopped before, into something completely different. You also may find, because both Pluto in Aquarius, Aquarius and Cancer, where Jupiter sit, Aquarius and Cancer are team related energies. And so if there is anything you want to take on with a team, you may find it is, after a little bit of challenge, you're able to assemble the right people, get them on sides, and then get the project going. Um, there's a huge sense of power running through you and running high at this full moon that's going to be palpable. So it's going to be important to not steamroll other people as you work with this energy. We also see a trine to Saturn in Nessus and Neptune there in Pisces, who Juno's also speaking to. And I love this for both counterparts because Saturn, Neptune, and Nessus together. Let's just talk about these for a moment. For all of us collectively, they've been together since the start of the year. They're going to stay together, retrograde, then go forward as they are now. But here's the thing. Together, Saturn and Neptune create this sort of balancing energy. Neptune wants Saturn wants boundaries, groundedness, structure. Saturn wants wholeness and integrity. And then Saturn will cut off anything that undermines your wholeness and integrity. What Neptune's going to bring to the mix is washing it all out to sea so that you can't grip onto it again. It forces us to deal with the spiritual and immaterial, the reality that reality is immaterial, that you can grip reality as much as you can grip a fistful of water or a fistful of air. Together, they bring us into a certain spiritual maturity. And with Nessus in the mix, it holds our fingers to the fire on it. It makes sure that we understand. It creates an obsession with the spiritual maturity and growth. And with the three of them in communication with both Juno by trine and Jupiter by trine, it forces the entirety of the connection onto its next highest timeline. And that's a lot of what many people are experiencing right now as both counterparts go through a lot of personal growth and maturing. Next highest timeline is unfolding, and it may not look the way you thought it was going to look, but trust, if you chose union, that's your direction. But These transits are going to hold your finger to the fire when it comes to what must happen for you to get to that place. Okay. So I like to see it. It's also going to be really helpful for divine masculine energy emotionally and spiritually if there's been too much spiritual bypassing or emotional catastrophizing. If you know in your DM energy, you're typically taking action from a dysregulated state of like, oh, I need to affirm and decree and visualize my union because you're just so triggered by what's happening in the 3D that, spirituality has become sort of your coping mechanism rather than a tool. Likewise, if emotionally, every time something happens or doesn't happen in the third dimension, whether you're in union or not, you go into a hyper triggered state. This energy right here is going to help you out. It's sobering. It's going to help you see things from a higher level spiritual perspective and help you connect with more spiritual guidance. This is really good. This is also going to be an opportunity to forgive and let go or just start over here. So I like to see it. This is a really good energy for our divine masculine fields, for us individually and for us collectively, regardless of what degree of divine masculine energy you tend to hold in your personal connection. Everyone does this in different degrees and it does change. You may find that this is really kind of what the connection was calling for to get a little bit more grounded. So, good stuff. What's less than great stuff? Good news and bad news, right? It's never just one. It is opportunities to grow, opportunities to evolve through the obstacle course called life. We do see Jupiter square Chiron and Eris in Aries. Now, I've talked to, if you've been listening to the Light Worker energy updates over the last three lunations, you already know I have spoken at length about Chiron and Eris and Aries, the way they get victimy, blamey. It's all your fault. I'm I can't do this because you're doing that sort of energy like I've done all my work. It's now all up to the other person, sort of like pouty, victimy, you know. You get the idea. I've spoken at length in the last three lunar updates about that combo. What I would say here is because Jupiter has locked into real close proximity with them before going retrograde, the Jupiter retrograde that starts on, is it November 11th on 11/11? Yeah. Um, it's going to be colored by this sort of energy. And collectively, we're all seeing and dealing with this sort of energy and the way people respond to feeling victimized, disenfranchised, rejected, different, cast aside. We are going to see that sort of behavior show up. And so, with Jupiter coming into the retrograde zone in shadow now, we also see speaking to Chiron and Eris. You may find that you step into a little bit of, well, they did me wrong. It's their fault we're not together. They owe me. It's their fault the connection's so hard. They need to fix, yada, 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 yada. If that has shown up for you, the opportunity for growth at this full moon and throughout the Jupiter retrograde, I'm just going to give you the highlights now. The opportunity for growth is to learn for yourself the emotional growth and expansion that allows you to see it from their perspective, like why the hurt person is hurting people, and learn what there is to be done from a place of compassion. And I hear some of you now in your heads, but Kate, I've been compassionate. Kate, you have no idea how patient I've been. You're right, I don't know. And you may have been. But getting that point of view from their lived perspective that can show up over this retrograde is going to shift even more for you to help you understand where and how you can show up in a way that partners with their evolution. So if that's been missing, and it has been if you're in a blame game, that correction is about to unfold. You also get some deeper insights about sort of the family dynamic with Jupiter in Cancer that can has been both yours and theirs that has led to these sorts of back and forth blame games that people can have in partnership. And you'll have the opportunity to step out of it. So it's tension with a huge opportunity for growth and new awareness and light work and leadership. So be on the lookout for that. And we see a trine for Jupiter to Lilith in Scorpio. Now, this is fascinating to me because Juno was the one rocking with Lilith and Vesta. They were all in a tight little wad as she came out of retrograde. Lilith is the energy of I'm going to do things my way or I'm out. Like it needs to be a way that works for me, or I'm just not participating. Why would I participate if something doesn't include me, work for me? She's real comfortable with some exits. She was talking to Juno, the divine feminine, from July, August, September. Now she's speaking to Jupiter, the divine masculine, and will continue to as he begins his retrograde. And so this is where I like this energy because for those that have had both divine feminine, masculine, whatever frequency or balance you run in your particular energy body, and you and your counterpart hold in your connection, what this does is for those of you that have had super flimsy boundaries in your connection with yourselves, with other people, with family on the divine masculine side, um, this is going to cause you to begin the process of self regulation. uh, Start the process of recognizing the truth about what you need and where you may have been the proverbial doormat and where it's you're done. You can't live that life anymore. And again, ultimately, this is where the whole connection starts to get picked up and put on a new timeline. This is part of the many different types of transits and aspects. It's putting your connection on a completely new timeline with completely new habits, patterns, and behaviors. So it's, I love this. I feel like it's really going to serve those who have struggled with uh, overgiving, over availability, in connection. And I know others of you have other problems where it's like not enough giving, like not enough availability. There are other transits that deal with that. But I just love the way, God designed these planets to like give us all what we need at different times. And so it's a really beautiful setup. It's a beautiful energy for coming back into self. Warning with Lilith speaking to Jupiter, you'll know what you're feeling about this because you land in resentment first. That's the first thing you feel. You'll get some sort of inclination of feeling resentful, taken advantage of, feeling taken for granted. And when you feel that in any area, right? Could be with counterpart, could be with family, could be at work, could be with your siblings, whatever. Any area you begin to feel that, that's your signal. Oh, my divine masculine energy wants me to rewrite an agreement here, reset some boundaries, reshape the way I'm showing up, have me pull back, let other people do what they need to do. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing there. Now, if you heard something that resonates, I encourage you again to hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe. And if you know someone who's growing through what I have spoken to today, send this to them. Just encourage them to have a listen when they have a moment. It may give them the validation and the clarity that they need to know what's next in their connection. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for leaving a comment. If you do that, it's a wonderful way to support the channel. If you're joining me for Cards and Stars, I can't wait to release class 1 to you on Monday. It's going to be a beautiful class. And if you're joining me for Star Club at the end of the month, we will talk then. Looking forward. Take great care and bye for now.